Hello everybody, and welcome back to the VictoryXR Academy tutorial series. This is part 15, and today we're going to be taking images from the web and turning them into special IFX objects. So we're starting off here just on Google Images. I typed in tree PNG. PNGs are a special type of image file format that allows for transparent backgrounds, and we'll see why we did that in a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick this tree here. It's a nice looking tree. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose Open Image in New Tab. And here's our tree image here. I'm going to take this image URL, I'm going to select the whole thing, and I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to go to my Media tab on my Engage account. This will look familiar if you've seen part 6 of the tutorial series. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new web link right here. And I'm just going to call it tree. And I'm going to put in that URL that we copied. And I won't put in a description, but you can if you want to. And I'm just going to save it. Great. Fantastic. So now we're going to head into the Academy for our next step. All right, so welcome back. Here we are inside the Academy. We're inside our blank museum environment. It's a good place to show off what we're going to be doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my menu. We're going to go to the Media tab here. I'm going to go to My Media, and there's our tree that we took from before. I'm going to click on it. It's going to open up the web browser, and I'm going to click up here. I'm going to click up here to the URL bar there. It's going to open up this secondary window here. I'm going to click these 3 dots over here. I'm going to click Select All, like that. Going to hit the 3 dots again. Going to hit Copy. So I'm going to copy this to my clipboard here. Going to hit X, exit out of this. So we have our URL that we copied. Great. Now we're going to head into IFX. Now this special IFX that we're going to pull up is not under the Academy tab. It's actually going to be under the Public tab. I'm going to go to Category, I'm going to go to Other, and it's on page 2 of Other. It's called the Web URL image. There are a couple different types that I'm going to show off here. So first, I will show off the Web URL image unlit. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to ask me for a URL. So I'm going to go to our 3 dots, and I'm going to hit Paste. Then I can hit Enter, and there we go. It grabs our image, and we have it here. Now you see we got a black background here, and we don't want that. We don't want that black background. We want it to be transparent. So we're going to get rid of this one. And instead we're going to pull up Transparent Lit. Going to paste that. Enter that. And there we go. You'll see, make it a little bigger, that we can walk right up to it, and we can peer right through the leaves there. Now, there are 2 different types of lighting that you can have on these web URL objects. Here's our lit one. If you go to page 3, there's a transparent unlit one. Paste, enter. And you see that there is visually a difference between these 2. Now, just for the sake of example, gonna pull up our grabbable light under our VictoryXR tab. Gonna pull that up, make it a little smaller. You see, as I hold up the light to this lit one, it actually reacts to the lighting conditions within the scene. But the unlit one does not. So one thing to keep in mind is that in terms of rendering, in terms of how much it'll tax the hardware, this one is a bigger ask than this one. So you'll only want to use the lit versions if you absolutely want your objects to blend into the scene. But otherwise, using unlit ones will do just fine. Now you'll see that this is, we pulled up our image, and it's an image, therefore it is flat. It is perfectly flat. So I can just, if I had this as a poster, I can just slap it on the wall right there. There we go, we have got a sticker of a tree. I could even put one down here, make it a little bigger, put one down there, clone it, have another one, make it bigger, another one there, rotate this one. We got a little, what are these, peaches? No? Oh, whatever. We got the little orchard here of trees. Nice. Now, a couple of things to note. This is an extremely powerful tool. It's really great for pulling up diagrams or images that of objects that aren't yet part of the Academy. But you need to keep in mind that it's not a catch-all. Pulling up these images, especially high-resolution images, can be taxing on lower-end hardware such as the Oculus Quest 1 or even mobile devices. So if you have a bunch of these web URLs, that are coming from different websites, it might cause slowdown when the scene first loads, and if you have too many of them, it might even crash the user's headset, which you definitely do not want. So make sure that you're sparing with these web URL objects. So here's another example of what you can do to mitigate these issues. You can, I have our tree. I'll go ahead and hit eject, go to My Media. I've also going to refresh that. I also just have a picture of an atom saved. Great, here's a picture of an atom. Now this atom, you see, is a JPEG type file. JPEGs, as opposed to PNGs, do not support transparent backgrounds like we saw with our tree. But what it lacks in that feature, it makes up for in being a much lighter file format. It's a lot easier for devices to load JPEGs than PNGs. So I copied that URL, and I'll make this one an unlit image, paste our URL. There we go, and we got our poster of an atom, and I can just gizmo that, fix its rotation so it's perfectly aligned with the wall, slide it right up there. There we go. And we got our poster right there. So this atom, for example, since it's a JPEG, will be a lot easier to load. So as a general rule, and I'll put these tips and tricks in the description as well. As a general rule, if you don't need to have a transparent background, seek out JPEGs as opposed to PNGs. So that's rule 1. Rule 2 is, in general, don't go crazy with them, because the device still has to go to each website, find each image, and load them all up. And if you do that, too much, that can be a burden on lower end devices. Now, if you're using the Oculus Quest 2, or and you know that your students are using the Oculus Quest 2, or a PC or a desktop device, you probably don't need to worry about this limitation. This more applies to the lower end devices such as mobile phones and the Oculus Quest 1. So that about wraps things up for this tutorial. It's a great feature for teachers. It's also a great feature for students. So students, if you're watching this, and your teacher assigns you to create a museum environment, and you just want to have some diagrams of things, or maybe you've created your own bar graphs and you want to put them on the wall for a presentation, you can use this technique to do that as well. So I hope you guys learned a lot about web URL images, and I'll see you guys next time.